Hi, nice meeting with you. I'm Nate.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm glad you guys came in.
Oh yeah, thanks for taking the time. Hopefully we can, work out the lasting problems of this contract to make a good deal.
Last little details there.
Yep.
How was the travel? You guys all good?
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Thank you so much.
Is it your first time out to Boston?
I've been here a couple of times, but in recent years, this is kind of refreshing, I guess.
Yeah, good. Well, we're really excited to have you here. We're really excited about our project, and we're really excited that you guys seem excited about our project too. That way we can all kind of come together and collaborate. So I'm really glad we're going to work out these last few little details and kind of get on board and get going.
Sounds great.
Good.
So a few ideas that I was kind of thinking just of a process of how we can, kind of figure out what would be the best option. We could kind of have a brainstorming session of different ideas of what we want, and then we could, just see which one both fits our interest.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good to me. Do you mind if I write it down as well as you?
Of course.
Okay, sounds good. So why don't you start out since it's your idea, that way we can...
Okay, of course. Yeah, some of, I just named some of our interests as well, but we're very proud of being innovative as a company, and there's kind of a fear of going into such a long lease, of not being able to be a little bit flexible and innovative, because markets change so much in 10 years, 20 years, could be even 5 years. So having that flexibility would allow us to be able to adapt to different trends and kind of the market as a whole. And so that's one of our biggest concerns is that we're able to have that flexibility if we're either to sublet or to downsize or do a little more different things with the space depending on how the market is.
Yeah, for sure. And we are totally on board with that. Obviously, we came to you over other retailers that we were thinking of just simply because we know that you know what you're doing. And we want you to be able to have that flexibility. But as you know, you guys make up 24% of our mall, and we have another 76% to sort of cater to. And while you are the anchor and one of the top priorities, we just want to make sure that that flexibility doesn't interfere with any sort of satellite stores. And so while you need flexibility, we also need a little bit of stability, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Which, of course, we don't want to stay the same over the next 10 to 20 years, as I'm sure you understand. But we still need to maintain that little bit of collaboration within the mall.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So obviously, both of us have a vested interest in making this a profitable location. And so what can you kind of foresee how can we kind of bridge that gap? What would be the most important part to you?
Basically, that flexibility on being able to innovate. For example, in one of our stores, I believe it's in Detroit, one of our ideas was we had a kids playhouse, clubhouse for the kids where they can stay while their parents go shop. So it's kind of something new. So in different locations, like if something really works well in say that store, it would be kind of cool to see if it could also work in this one to help boost profits and stuff like that, but also make it a fun experience for the customers.
Absolutely, and just know we're totally on board with things like that. And have you guys had any sort of you guys are obviously very experienced in this, and we're just kind of starting out and we want to know what's going on. So have you had any sort of issues or anything like that in other stores with putting for example, a kids area?
Not yet. So far they've been positive, the results. We've only tried it in a few stores, and it's just it's kind of a crazy idea how it came up to be, but that's another story. But we'll try different things in different stores. Nothing too crazy. We won't bring in a pig farm or anything like that. But just little ideas, and it just kind of depends on products. For example, if some products aren't selling as well as others, maybe it would be better, more efficient for us to have kind of a smaller, to downsize a little bit and sublet it out to another company that could really help out as well, in the mall. So just kind of that flexibility to be able to have that protected future, I guess, if things don't go well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, in keeping with that and trying to meet those interests, would you feel comfortable if we had someone, if you just like kind of gave us some sort of anticipatory period of like, in 6 months we're anticipating making this change? Would that still guard your flexibility but give us time to kind of assimilate to what you...
That is interesting. So it would be, for example, we wanted to have the kids clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So we would tell you 6 months in advance, and then it'll just be like, all right, and then we can just do it in 6 months?
Yeah. Now, I feel like that would be a pretty good stance for us to take. The only thing I would love to just be able to add in a clause of, with that anticipation, that period would be to help us to make sure that it is something that's going to be good for the mall, something that's not going to, affect anything really. And it would just be, I mean, obviously you're confident you haven't really had too many issues. If for some reason there was an issue, you would agree to sort of either rearrange it or cease with it, just so that we're maintaining the integrity of the mall and the other 76% is still thriving and profitable.
Right. And it's completely understandable to have the other companies do well in the mall and be thriving, because the more people that come in for, say, this store, they might see ours and come and visit us as well. So yeah, I totally understand being able to protect the other companies there. The only kind of doubt I guess I have is it's a little, like, there's a little bit of ambiguity in there of like what, it's not really defined. So I don't want there just to be future arguments on, what does it do to the atmosphere of the mall or to the other companies or in this location or stuff. So I like the track that we're headed. I just don't know if it just that kind of layout would be too like gray for us, and then be like, and then get in arguments in the future. I wouldn't want that. So.
No, totally, and I want you to be comfortable. So what kind of balance are you looking for?
So, I mean, there could be a criteria of some sorts to, make sure that we're not going totally crazy and destroying it.
Which we don't anticipate you doing.
Right. And we don't anticipate to do. So, I guess it could be something like, criteria-wise, nothing as far as, sorry, just thinking here through it.
So would you like me to kind of set up a kind of situation in your mind where I could kind of foresee that coming in? So we've got 15 to 20 satellite stores around you. All of them are on 3 to 5 year leases. And we know that in that time, a lot of them will cycle through. If they're doing well, then they're doing well, and obviously they're doing well alongside you guys. So it would be a situation like, so you guys are in soft products currently, and you introduce something that was in direct competition with one of our satellite stores. If it was going to render them, if it was going to make it pretty much impossible for them to thrive, then that would be a sort of situation where we would go, this is not in adherence to the contract. But if it were something like a change in promotional, if it were just like changes in marketing and that sort of stuff, and it's not really affecting the other satellite stores, then you would have full flexibility there.
Okay.
The only thing would be if someone is directly being affected, so much so that they can't fulfill their lease. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds great. With that, for example, say our product isn't doing very well, and we think that another company is doing way better, and we were going to kind of go that way, but since we don't have, we have that agreement where not to like compete against them, to be allowed to sublet to a different company that space. They could do different products, so it won't be competition with the other ones, just to have another company in there instead of us, if we're able to kind of.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like that would be okay. I think my side of things and my boss would feel comfortable with like having a certain amount of space that's allowed to do that, and then a certain amount of space that has to stay with you guys at all times.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you know kind of out of the whole square footage, the 84,000, what kind of percent do you think?
What would you feel comfortable with?
Well, I mean, I always think that 50-50 is kind of an even split. So if we could do 50-50 split of, we'll maintain 50% of that, so we're still there. And then just the other half would be just a different company to kind of help out.
Okay. Yeah, and that's obviously, this is a clause put in there that you're able to do that just if this situation came up, right? It's not like we're fully anticipating that right now.
Yeah, because we're a business, we're there to make money, or you are. So we could do something to the effect of, if, say, by a certain point, we're not making profit, like we're in the negatives, it's going to be really hard to maintain it, then we can start doing that. But if not, like if we're still in a good profit and everything's going fine, that we won't be allowed to do it until another point period, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it would kind of be like a reevaluation period in like 5 years, 10 years.
We could do for the first one 5 years, because if we're already doing bad in 5 years, then in 10 years we probably won't be around. But so we could do the 5-year first reevaluation, and then 10 years could be full flexibility, because then by that time I feel like we will know what's going on, and then it could be markets could change then, but I think that would be still a long enough time to fulfill our end.
And could you define full flexibility?
So about the subletting, so that we are able, like even if we're doing really well, but we just feel that it would be better to sublet for future purposes, that after 10 years we were able to do the 50-50 split.
50-50, okay.
But 5 years we'll just do if
only
we're not
if it's
doing
on a needed basis.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Fun.
So let me just write 5 years as needed. Now the other 50%, that would be a little less flexibility. It would be if you're doing something that's in competition, we have the ability to say this needs to cease.
So based off that subletting, we could have criteria to make sure that it's agreeable. We can do that now. One, we could do a local company. We can pick a local company that's around, so it's friendly to everybody else. And yeah, as far as that, then if it's already local, then shouldn't be too much of a competition difference inside the mall compared to outside. So
I like that idea. It's a great one. And then we'll still include the 6-month anticipatory period.
Right. So it would be the 6 months, but at the 10 years, we no longer need the 6 months. We can
absolutely.
Act on it.
Yeah. No,
Straight
we
up.
trust you. All Awesome. Are there any other interests that you're looking to?
Nope.
I just want to make sure that you guys are fully taken care of, that you're fully comfortable, that we're fully comfortable.
I appreciate that so much. We're really excited about this. You guys picked a great location, and I know you've done a lot of research on it, so we appreciate that. All the contract terms we've agreed to before seems really good. It was just this little last bit about the flexibility.
Yeah.
Scary, and a changing world. You look at big companies like Blockbuster,
Yeah.
big time, but then Netflix comes out, so we just want to be able to change if we need to, and make a good profit. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I feel comfortable with that if you guys are comfortable with that.
So it's going to be the 25-year lease, right?
Yep.
And then the 5 years, 10 years flexibility, and in the first 5 years is 6 months of letting you know and discussing. Sounds good?
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming out, Nate.
Thank you. Have a great day, Christina.